Donald Trump hates a lot of people, but don't worry, he sometimes hates his own family too. The question is, could they be starting to feel the same way? No matter what you think about Donald Trump, you have to admit, that dance is really something. You know the one. But one person who's really just not into it is, apparently, Melania.
She said, "Darling, I love you. I love you, but this is not presidential. You don't dance."
Donald says Melania also dislikes it when he mocks people on stage. Not that he lets that stop him. According to Melania's memoir, Melania, Donald's campaign antics aren't the only area where they aren't on the same page politically. In fact, she outright admitted, "Occasional political disagreements between me and my husband were part of our relationship, but I believed in addressing them privately rather than publicly challenging him." While some couples argue about drapes or what to eat for dinner, the first couple can't align on abortion rights. Melania revealed she doesn't share Donald's conservative opinion on the matter and is actually pro-choice. Melania's absence on the 2024 campaign trail fueled speculation that she didn't back her husband's battle for another presidential term. As it turns out, Donald isn't the most supportive spouse either. In her memoir, the former model recalled the only words of advice and encouragement her husband offered for adjusting to her role as First Lady: "Good luck." Despite the flippant phrasing, Melania tried her best to glean some deeper sentiment. She wrote, "I realized he wasn't worried. He was proudly confident I could handle the future. It was his unique way of saying, 'Good luck. I know you'll excel. Let's get started.'" Of course, Donald may remain unaware of his wife's musings on the inner workings of his mind. He hasn't even read her book.
She just wrote a book. I hope she said good things about it. I don't know. I didn't. So busy.
He did at least encourage rallygoers to purchase copies of the memoir. Kinda.
And if she says bad things about me, I'll call you all up and I'll say, "Don't buy it. Get rid of it."
During the 2024 election, Donald found his youngest son to be a useful political ally. He credited Barron with encouraging him to sit for interviews with guys who appeal to large groups of young men, like Aiden Ross and Joe Rogan. Earlier in the year, Barron had the opportunity to enter the political arena himself when the Republican Party selected him as a Florida delegate at the RNC. Melania's office later issued a statement that he'd be refusing the post due to other obligations. Are Melania and Donald on the same page when it comes to Barron's political future? Seems like maybe not. Then there are the reports that Melania plans on being a part-time First Lady. A source told the New York Post that she wants to spend some of her husband's second term near Barron in New York City. The arrangement would allow Melania to keep a watchful eye on her son while he's at school. It would also help both of them avoid the inevitable chaos in D.C. A source told People, Barron already has his own political ideas. It all needs to be monitored in light of the situation. Melania feels it's better to be around him as much as possible. Donald Trump may be wealthy, but that doesn't mean he's thoughtful when it comes to holiday gift giving, or in his case, regifting.
I'm the namesake, so I got regifted all of the things that were monogrammed for him at times.
Don Jr. even called his dad out one Christmas for regifting him the present Jr. bought for him the year before. Awkward. But the eldest Trump child isn't the only one in the family to deal with crummy gift giving. Donald's niece, Mary Trump, said she suspected that a gift basket she'd once received from her uncle was also regifted and missing a key component.
It wasn't until much, much later that I realized that it was almost certainly a jar of a couple of ounces of caviar.
And if you thought Christmas was the only uncomfortable family holiday for the Trumps, you'd be wrong. In 2021, Melania failed to mention her husband in her Valentine's Day tweet, and Donald returned the favor in 2023 when he left her out of his Mother's Day message on Truth Social. He did keep with the spirit of the holiday, though. Happy Mother's Day to all. In particular, the mothers, wives, and lovers of the radical left fascists, Marxists, and communists who are doing everything within their power to destroy and obliterate our once great country. Ivanka Trump's husband, Jared Kushner, got in Donald Trump's good graces enough to land a role as one of his senior advisors during his first term as president, but that doesn't mean Donald always liked the guy. According to author Vicky Ward, Donald used to complain to friends that he wished Ivanka had married former New England Patriots quarterback Tom Brady instead. In her book, Kushner Inc., Ward wrote that Donald joked to the Patriots owner, Robert Kraft, Jared is half the size of Tom Brady's forearm. New York Times journalist Maggie Haberman shared another anecdote about Donald mocking Jared in her book, Confidence Man. When Jared and Ivanka made plans to go camping, Donald reportedly cracked jokes about Jared's ability to survive in the woods, saying, "It'd be like something out of Deliverance, and you know the something." But at least Jared has company on his father-in-law's family blacklist. Donald's ex-attorney Michael Cohen revealed on his podcast that his former boss also used to hate Eric Trump's wife, Lara. He didn't even want Eric to marry her.
Not only did Donald make fun of her looks, but so, of course, did Don and Ivanka. They all made fun of her looks. They just didn't like her at all.
In a 2020 episode of his Triggered podcast, Donald Trump Jr. asked his dad a pointed question.
Which is your favorite Trump child, and why is it Ivanka?
It was once a universally accepted piece of Trump lore that Donald placed Ivanka on a pedestal. Then the Trumps decided to trade real estate for affairs of state. Politics seemingly drove a wedge between Ivanka and her dad. In Confidence Man, Haberman wrote that Donald had to be stopped from firing her and Kushner from their White House roles via tweet. The relationship between father and daughter further deteriorated during the House's investigation of the U.S. Capitol riot. After Ivanka testified that she didn't believe the 2020 election was stolen from her father, he took to Truth Social to write, Ivanka Trump was not involved in looking at or studying election results. She had long since checked out. Though premature, Donald was ultimately right about his daughter checking out. In 2023, Ivanka announced she was finished working with her father politically.
It's a pretty dark world. Like, there's a lot of darkness, a lot of negativity.
During 2024's primary season, Donald Trump celebrated one of his victories by rattling off the names of his most helpful relatives during a speech. Even Don Jr.'s ex, Kimberly Guilfoyle, got a shout-out. But you know who didn't? Eric or Lara. It's highly unlikely that Lara would ever forget her father-in-law if the roles were reversed. She clearly loves the man, going so far as to tell PragerU that he's been given divine power to, quote, save the world.
And if you ask my father-in-law, he will tell you he's here right now because God wanted him to be here.
Apparently, Lara also thinks that Halo looks pretty good on him.
Donald Trump is very good looking. He'll be the first to tell you that.
Lara adores Donald so much that the centerpiece of her 40th birthday party was a table piled high with Trump hats. A few years later, she couldn't contain her excitement when rapper Forgiato Blow let her borrow his massive gold chain adorned with Donald's likeness.
It's been the greatest movement in American political history, and we're never going to see another Donald Trump.
There was a time when Donald Trump Jr. was desperate to spend time with his dad. As Don Sr. wrote in The Art of the Deal, I tell Donnie I'll be home as soon as I can, but he insists on a time. Perhaps he's got my genes. The kid won't take no for an answer. But could the allure of hanging out with his pops be starting to wear off? Don Jr. ended 2024 by moaning about having to attend his father's New Year's Eve party at Mar-a-Lago.
I get to be around 1,000 drunk people giving me their political opinions that I don't necessarily want to hear.
He went on to complain that his dad's pals treat him like he's clueless, often giving him unsolicited advice.
Hey, have you ever thought to maybe have your dad not tweet that? Or I'm like, no, I've never thought that because I'm a freaking imbecile.
Maybe they're just following Senior's lead. According to Michael Cohen, the Apprentice alum finds Don Jr.'s intelligence lacking.
These are Donald's words, that Don Jr. has the worst judgment of anyone he's ever met in his life.
Donald Trump has a long history of making weird comments.
She does have a very nice figure. I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know?
Oh, it's so weird.
Former Miss Universe Brooke Mahaley Lee told the New York Times that at the 1997 Miss Teen USA pageant, Donald gushed about Ivanka's appearance and asked if Lee thought she was hot. Ivanka was 16. Tiffany Trump wasn't spared from her father's comments either. When she was just a baby, Donald was already talking about her body.
She's got Marla's legs. We don't know whether or not she's got this part yet.
Could Donald Trump Jr. be following in his father's skeevy footsteps? He's certainly not afraid to describe his own 17-year-old daughter in a similar way.
Guy, what do you think? Getting makeup make me look sexy like you?
Donald Trump thrives on being the center of attention, and sometimes that means stealing the spotlight from his own family. In 2016, Lara and Eric were about to have their first baby. They broke the news to their family the day Donald was sworn in for his first term as president. And while they could have had a lot of fun dreaming up a MAGA-themed reveal for their family's fans, Donald jumped the gun by announcing the news to a crowd backstage at a Nashville rally. As Lara told Fox and Friends, the announcement was as much a surprise to her as the rest of the audience. He told everybody that was in the room, and I was like, we haven't told anybody yet. Donald similarly spilled the beans about Tiffany's first pregnancy in 2024.
She's an exceptional young woman, and she's going to have a baby, so that's nice.
Did Tiffany know her dad was going to spoil her big news? Probably not, but she's got to be used to this kind of thing by now, right?